Hey, everybody. Welcome to Game S Mornings, presented by Deku Deals. With me, Jeff Grubb, your host from giantbomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about anything but football. Anything.
Why
like
is
that Zelda movie looking good, and Concord, the game's so nice they shut it down twice. Anything. It's going to be a good one because we have Jason Fanelli on the show. Jason, how are you doing?
I am doing great. First and foremost, before any shit talking commences, congratulations to you and the team for a very successful Extra Life stream.
Thank you for your donations, Jason.
Was able to tune in for a little bit on Saturday night. Jumped into a Fall Guys session and immediately got bounced out because I have not played that game in a very long time. I did find it interesting that Dan did not know of all of the WWE crossovers that they've done. Like Mankind's in there, Undertaker's in there, Asuka's in there, and one of the taunts is the old trombone for Xavier Woods. Brant. I'm surprised he didn't know any of that because he's always like, "Is that Mankind?" Whoa, I thought he would know.
Yeah, it's all in there.
A lot of WWE going on there, but no, you guys did great. Congratulations to y'all. Like a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Good time. But yeah, suddenly the Eagles defense has decided they want to be the best defense in football, and I am not.
Yeah, it really hit us at a time where the offensive line has kind of continued to deteriorate just a little bit each week, and it really was bad. I was also very tired, and so I kind of was falling asleep during the game because I had not slept since before the start of the marathon because I basically got in bed for half an hour at Dan's house before I had to leave for the airport, and then I was traveling all day. Got home, and then I didn't want to like fall asleep in the middle of the afternoon, so I was kind of just doing some stuff around the house, and it was an evening game. That was a good one to fall asleep during. I'll tell you that.
It sure was.
Yeah,
defensive struggle, perfect. No struggles for you falling asleep on that one.
No, definitely not. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that was your team was looking pretty good. I mean, listen, I get the. If you have to have a good offense or a good defense, I think I know right now which one I'm choosing, and it's to have the good defense. So, and I think you guys will figure out everything else on the offense. You still have all the tools; you'll be just fine. Your O-line's still real good.
It's too much drama. The O-line can't stay healthy, but luckily our backups have been stepping up. But the offense is. If I have to hear AJ Brown drama. For a second more, I'm going to lose my mind. I know it's what the wide receivers do. I get it. I know. But so much of it is fueled by the sports radio stations in this town, the relics of a bygone age that they are, the drama churning. I could say a lot. But we're 9-2 or 8-2, whatever it is. And you would think that they're the worst team in football on a Monday morning. I don't understand.
We'll move on real quick from this, everybody. But just that's the roughest thing is the records. The Lions came into the season supposed to be, the top of the class in the NFC North. Chicago Bears, number 1 in the division.
I'm sorry, buddy.
We're buying Green Bay as well. It's rough out here. And
we see them Black Friday, I think, those Chicago Bears.
Yes. Well, we will see them. You see them Black Friday. Okay. We play Green Bay on Thanksgiving, so we'll go from there.
Oh, there you go. All
right, let's just get into everything, everybody, so we don't have to talk about this anymore and explain ourselves. We're Giant Bomb, giantbomb.com/join to become a premium member. What does that do? It supports your video game doofuses who are independent, out here on our own, on the internet, making fun video game content, kind of stuff that it felt like it should have been part of a bygone area because corporations decided they didn't want to support it anymore. Well, we don't want their support. We have your support instead, and we are super thankful, grateful even, that you are out there making sure that we can continue to do what we do. That does enable us to do things like go raise $50,000 for children's hospitals. That's the kind of thing where it's like it would be hard to justify that any other way. So very, very happy to kind of be like, you know what, we got ours. Let's make sure everyone else gets theirs. And that's all because of you all. And we know you're out there. We see you here in chat. We see you on the comments. And we just appreciate everyone who's come through and actually gone to giantbomb.com/join, became a premium member, and put their money where their mouth is. If you can't do that, though, just tell a friend about the show. That's also excellent. As far as this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game S Mornings, or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right,
Hello,
we have a lot.
YouTube. And can I hit you with some breaking news right here?
Let's do it. Jason Fanelli, what do you got for me?
Xbox partner preview Thursday, November 20th, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern confirmed. The show will include news on upcoming games from partners including IO, Tencent, and THQ Nordic, plus some brand new reveals and Xbox Game Pass announcements. All the shows feature games, 007 First Light, Tides of Annihilation, Reanimal, and more. Our Xbox Play Anywhere, so you can enjoy every single one of them across console, PC, and supporting gaming handhelds with one copy of the game on all YouTube and Twitch. More information on Xbox Wire. Email hit as you were giving that intro.
Yeah, there were some stirrings in one of my in my DMs this morning. I could see in the notifications that this might have been happening, and then I went to go check it. It was on Blue Sky, and it's like, yeah, you can't check your DMs until you give us your ID. I'm like, I'll sign into my VPN later and check on this, but also it feels like this might get announced. So here we are. Early word is don't expect the world from this showcase, but these things are always like, there's probably going to be a couple games in there for you, and if there's not, there's already plenty of stuff to play. Fanelli, what are you expecting from a showcase like this at this time of year, located entirely inside of an Xbox showcase?
A lot of this is an Xbox or Play Anywhere or Day One and Game Pass, whatever the hell those mean anymore. But not a whole lot, considering 3 weeks later is the Game Awards, right? So even games that may appear at both, they're not going to. You might even see some trailers say this is a little teaser for watch the Game Awards in 3 weeks, right? Because I believe at the end of the show, noon Eastern is when the nominations are announced. So you might see some people start to plant the seed here for 3 weeks from now. Don't expect too much.
I'll read this quote here. You didn't read all this, right? When you were going through that during Xbox.
I have no quotes in my email, so no.
Okay, cool. During Xbox Partner Preview, we'll show you an exciting first look at content coming to 007 First Light. That's the IO that you mentioned. An electrifying extended gameplay trailer for the upcoming dark fantasy epic Tides of Annihilation, and a fresh look at Reanimal, the new horror adventure from the creators of Little Nightmares, among other great games heading to Xbox consoles, Xbox on PC, and Xbox Game Pass. Xbox says. Additionally, all the games featured during Xbox Partner Preview are Xbox Play Anywhere, which means you can enjoy every single one of them across console, PC, and supported gaming handhelds with just one copy of the game. A lot of those sound like the kinds of things that will, show up here. And you're right. I think we'll see a lot more of them at the Game Awards, especially 007 First Light. Yeah. When is that out? That's like relatively early next year. I want to
say February or March, but I can check that right now, and it is March 26th. Yes.
So yeah, that's exactly the kind of thing. Like the IO Interactive seems like they're kind of working with everybody, rightfully so. It's a studio out there on their own, so they're finding their partnerships where they can. And then I still think that game primarily gets its last big hurrah this year at the Game Awards. So yeah, I'll look forward to this. I'll watch this. We might even find a way to talk over it. Let's see, what time is it happening? 1 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. Is that Thursday? Yeah. So we might be able to make that happen and talk about whatever games come out of there. There are 2026 first-party games, right? This is a partner preview, right? So we shouldn't be expecting anything from Forza Horizon 6, Gears of War E-Day, Halo Campaign Evolved, or Fable, right?
Correct. Traditionally, these are. I have to go back and look at the last partner preview they did, but I don't think they go too crazy with other with their games. I think it's just stuff that from their third party partners. I would not expect anything nuts. So October 2024 the last one. Has it been a year?
It feels like it's been a minute since a partner preview.
Wow. So this one had Alan Wake 2, The Lake House, Animal Well, Blind Fire, Chronos: The New Dawn. Yeah, all third-party stuff.
Okay.
Fire Break, Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza, which I sometimes forget exists. I don't know why. I love that game. Phasmophobia, Subnautica 2, so on and so forth. So yeah, I wouldn't put too much faith in first-party stuff.
Yes, yeah, I certainly wasn't. And chat's like, it's called partner preview. Yeah, I get it. I just want to point out they have a lot of games coming out next year, Microsoft. If we are to believe that Forza Horizon 6, Gears of War E-Day, Halo Campaign Evolved, and Fable will all make it out next year. Now, I think we can expect Forza, Gears, and Halo. Fable is maybe the question mark still. But that, they canceled a bunch of stuff. They did not cancel Fable. That is something that, they could have easily done when they were canceling the Perfect Darks of the world. So, we are pretty close to that. So, hey, they had a pretty decent year in terms of releasing games and supporting Game Pass, price increases notwithstanding, over there at Xbox. If all these games come out and they're, decent to great, they could have another good year of content, right?
Yeah, they could, but it really doesn't matter if they're going to keep, the rest of the PR nightmare that happens around them, whether it's the continued support of what's going on overseas or it's the new thing that I think we'll get into in a little bit with Black Ops 7 and the nice little addition that nobody asked for going on there.
Mhm.
They can put out all the content they want, but until they get their, public facing affairs in order, it doesn't really much matter.
Yep. All
Um,
right.
um,
We'll continue talking about
yeah.
all that stuff here in a little bit, and but yeah, it's worth pointing out. Microsoft's still a target of the BDS boycott call, due to their support for what is happening in Gaza. That they've claimed to pull back on that, but the boycott has not been ended. All right, let's get back into our regular rundown here. Everyone spent the weekend freaking out about Metroid Prime 4. That previews went up. We did talk about it on Friday's show, so we won't go over too many of the details of those previews again. But I was wondering, people have maybe had a weekend to digest this. Jason, maybe you were paying attention to it, maybe you weren't, maybe you put it out of your mind. Kind of, I did, certainly, because I'm like, this is just noise at this point. None of this sort of like a wrenching of our garments is going to do much for me when it comes to whether or not I'm going to enjoy Metroid Prime 4. How are you feeling about all of it? Specifically, it is this character, Miles McKenzie, who is a bumbling idiot early in the game. And he kind of also points to Samus and says, hey, there's a puzzle over here. Why didn't you see this thing? People are worried about that. And I don't necessarily blame them, but also we haven't played the game. So how are you feeling?
That's exactly right. I'm going to quote the venerable, some call me Johnny on Blue Sky. I'm thinking nothing till I actually play the game.
Yeah.
I don't have an opinion. I wasn't in the previews. I didn't hear it. I don't know how bad it is. That type of thing doesn't normally bother me. Like the whole Aloy thing, I didn't care. Like I grew up with Navi. I grew up with Fee. I'm used to this stuff. And I understand why they do it because they're fighting a war for attention spans. And to keep people's attention focused, sometimes some people just need people screaming what's going on at them. So until I see this dude, I may like this guy. I may hear his voice, but like, you know what? I kind of like having this companion. Is it Metroid? No. The whole point of Metroid is isolation. But if he's adding something to the game for me, what the hell do I care? How much if he's talking a lot? He may point something out that I would have missed, which I think is a good thing. If I'm going to miss it, then if he say, hey, look over there, make sure you don't miss that. That could help me in the long run, sure. And if he starts out as a bumbling idiot and maybe has some sort of character arc where at the end he's a little more efficient, that's just one more storytelling vehicle. I don't care till I see it in front of me. I think the gameplay is more important. I think the experience of the game is more important. And right now, based on the limited things I've seen, I'm feeling okay, pretty good. It's I'm a little hesitant, but no, it doesn't bother me that much.
Yeah, I think everything about the way the game looks and plays looks right. I do get a little bit worried about him pointing out the missing something, just because that is so antithetical to Metroid for me specifically. But yeah, I think my thing here is if this is meant to establish a set of verbs for the world, and he's there to help you latch onto those early on, and then he fades into the background.
Sure.
I have I probably will have no issue with that.
Nope.
If they kind of have a series of characters that serve that role, I'll be a little bit more disappointed. But maybe I will. I don't know. You're right. I have to play it. I have to play it to find out. I'm on both sides of this, in that I see why people are anxious about it. I see why they're worried, especially for a game that has been so long in the making, and it's been a long time since Metroid Prime 3. So I get it, but it is also very frustrating to see one tidbit of the game and then have everyone's imaginations extrapolate that into something else. I don't think this character is going to be a Navi. I don't think that. I don't think that's how it's going to work. I think he is there to provide mostly a contrast between Samus and the kinds of people that are in the Galactic Federation, and to be like, this is why Samus is famous across the galaxy, and he even like says that at a point in the preview, and he's like, everyone knows her, and it's because she is this stoic, wordless, just death machine, and she really feels like that when she stands next to him. So I have still a lot of faith in Retro and the kinds of people that work there. I know that studio's grown a lot and changed a lot over the years, but they seem to have a pretty, I think the reason they went back and redid Metroid Prime 1 was to sort of really refamiliarize themselves with that world and with the character. And I think they're going to try to take as much of that and put it into this game as possible. And then we'll see how all these other characters interact with Samus going forward. It's a couple of weeks out, right? We're going to know for ourselves here very, very soon.
One more thing from chat. This is actually a pretty cool idea. If you're introduced to all these characters and the reason they stop interacting with you is because they die, and that creates the isolation at the end.
Yes.
That's an interesting concept.
Yep. Yeah. Or like, if they are working together and it's like there is a problem here, and it's like Samus got brought in by the Galactic Federation, and they're like, hey, we need to call in Samus to help us with this thing and to maybe save these people. And then halfway through the game, the Galactic Federation's like, you know what? We're washing our hands of this. We don't care anymore. The morality of it, we don't care. And Samus is stuck there on her own, being like, oh, great. Now I have to do the right thing. They called me here to do a job to get paid. And now I feel like I have to see this through because it means something to me now. That could be awesome. Mm-hmm. We'll see. We are definitely, sort of doing some fantasy booking here, but that's all we can go on. And really, It's fantasy booking versus anxiety sort of taking over. It's like you can have both a little bit, and I think that's what we're just trying to offset the balance with here. All right, don't worry, Resident Evil Requiem won't have PC woes like Monster Hunter Wilds did, according to Capcom. This is from Ed Nightingale at Eurogamer. Capcom is working to ensure Resident Evil Requiem will perform well on PC following a multitude of technical issues this year with Monster Hunter Wilds. The company has been heavily criticized for the performance of Wilds, though it acknowledged those issues. A free update is due on December 16th, something players have been waiting for the majority of the year. It seems Capcom has learned its lesson, though, and will ensure that Resident Evil Requiem won't suffer a similar fate. Resident Evil Requiem differs from Monster Hunter Wilds in terms of gameplay, systems, architecture, and network features, said Capcom during a Q&A session for its latest earnings report. At present, we do not anticipate similar risks. We are developing the game to provide a smooth gaming experience across a wide range of PC specifications. It wasn't just Wilds. It was Dragon's Dogma 2 as well. And this is like always positioned as the third game in that development trilogy of them trying to open up the RE engine to do more and more, specifically with open world stuff. We don't know really if Requiem's going to have any sort of open world stuff, or if it does, if it's as like open as something like a Dragon's Dogma 2 or a Monster Hunter Wilds. But certainly the priority here must have been, we need to make sure that Requiem comes out and does not have the problems of Wilds, because that has clearly damaged the reputation of that game. A game that rushed to 10 million copies sold, and I'm talking about Wilds here, and then immediately fell off a cliff and has stopped selling, basically. It's, not completely, but effectively it has. Do you think that's like, as long as this game performs well and is a good Resident Evil, right? That's all it needs to do at this point. If it performs poorly, they will have issues again, right?
Correct. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't play it. Wasn't on my radar. But did Dragon's Dogma 2 have a online co-op feature of any kind?
Yes. Yes. I think, yes, it does. And then, yes, because I think I played with Mike, right? Or was he my little special boy character?
You had special boys, and there was some co-op.
Thank you, Jan. Okay, so yes, it's got both.
So then, to me, the issue isn't open world; it's network, right? Monster Hunter Wilds.
The chat saying it's no co-op. It was just the pawns. So it's just the special boys. It has the summoning thing. So you can bring in your special characters that your friends create, and then they become your pawns, and they're controlled by the CPU. All right, go ahead, Jason.
But you still connect to your friends in order to do that, right?
there's some sort of connectivity,
some sort of sharing, right? So for me, I think the issue may be more in the network settings part. Monster Hunter Wilds is very online heavy, of course.
That's
You're
true.
meeting up with your friends and playing games. This has this. Dragon's Dogma 2 has that. Maybe not as bad, but still some sort of network connectivity. Resident Evil don't need that. The whole point of Resident Evil is being alone and scared. They tried doing that with Resident Evil 6. And I think when I think about that game, I think more about the logo and what it looks like than the actual game. So this, to me, is natural. You're going to have a single player, narrative driven game all about being, scared in this spooky world. You don't have to worry about anybody else. You're going to be completely isolated. And that, to me, I think is best for what Capcom wants to do with their PC ports. I could be wrong. It could be something more about the way that the RE engine processes certain things, and we'll see that rear its ugly head once again, and we will have an issue. But the way I'm looking at it, if these problems are more network driven, I don't think there's an issue, honestly. I think this one has to work most of the three because it's the biggest franchise of the three. So yes, I think this will cause the most gritted teeth if it doesn't work. But I also think that the path to get there is easier than the other two.
Yeah, I also just see maybe the nature of the enemies in a Resident Evil could sort of be a little bit easier for this all to work, because in Dragon's Dogma, there's all these NPC characters, these enemy characters, these things that can follow you from region to region. Monster Hunter Wilds certainly has that as well, where there's these groups of monsters and these giant monsters, and they are all running their own cycles, doing their own thing, and you could they all have to be maybe going at the same time if you were to like kite one into another, or you kind of go between them and you attract the attention of both. And the game has to juggle all of that at the same time. I think, and I'm pulling this off the top of my head, that remembering talks of the CPU being the bottleneck on these games in a lot of cases, and that would certainly be the case if that was the problem. Just trying to make sure that the game could juggle all of these interactable elements at the same time. Resident Evil will certainly have big things chasing you because that's become a staple, but it's usually one thing at a time, and then dumber characters, just normal AI zombie style characters, or leapers or something like that might not be as much of a problem for the game to handle. I hope that they can kind of design their way around any of the limitations of the Resident Evil, or the RE engine. It's not the Resident Evil engine, RE engine, when it comes to building this game. And this engine was originally designed so that they could make Resident Evil games. You would hope they would not stray too far from what made it so great for that in the first place. For this one, just for the sake of trying to do something bigger or more open.
Now, I agree with you there, unless they are trying to implement some sort of nemesis type character, right?
But I think they will. I think they will have. Yeah. But if they have one of those, then I think it's like they could probably focus on that, right? And it's like, and then if you run into some other standard style enemies, it's like, we can predict that a little bit better. Sure. The nature of Wilds, especially Dragon's Dogma 2, is those interactions are very unpredictable. The player can kind of cause all kinds of stuff to happen on their own. That's, again, especially true in Dragon's Dogma 2. I think that maybe the nature of Resident Evil makes it a little bit more predictable, so they can maybe design their way around it a little bit. But we'll have to see. At the very least, though, Jason, they're aware of it. They know that they can't let this happen again. And I think that alone should be taken as a good sign. And now we just got to see if they deliver, right?
I agree. And like I said, because this is Resident Evil, there will be more eyes on it than even Monster Hunter or Dragon's Dogma. Resident Evil has much more universal acclaim, universal appeal. Now, whether that translates to PC specifically or more console remains to be seen. But I do think that, even a headline, RE Requiem suffers on PC, is going to do some damage. They got to make sure it works.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Sony shuts down Concord again. This is from Marcus Persson at Game Reactor. And you might be confused. Don't worry. We'll explain everything that's happening here. Sony seems hellbent on wiping out every trace of Concord from the face of the earth, and honestly, who can blame them when the game became one of the biggest belly flops in PlayStation's history, $400 million straight down the drain, or around that much. The team behind the game was quickly dissolved afterward, and Sony is now doing everything it can to make Concord vanish from collective memory. So when the game was unexpectedly brought back to life through the hard work of a group of dedicated fans who made it playable on PC again, it didn't take long for Sony to come knocking. Clips from the closed beta were hit with DMCA takedowns, and in the official Discord channel for Concord Delta, the following statement has now been issued. Due to worrying legal action, we've decided to pause invites for the time being. In other words, the small team is fully aware that Sony has them in its sights, and as a result, both the project and the servers are currently on hold. So this was just fans bringing the game back, finding ways to do it on PC, Sony catching wind of it, and I think the Marcus person here at Game Reactor is attributing some motivations to that of like Sony wanting to wipe the internet of any trace of Concord. Part of me is always like, the simplest solution's probably, or the simplest answer is probably the answer. And it's like lawyers are just doing their due diligence to protect the company. And if Concord's out there running in any real way, it's not been that long since that game came out. And they're probably like, hey, if something happens with the game or someone has a bad experience in there, we don't want to be legally liable. It's our trademark still. It's our copyright still. And we're lawyers, and we're just going to do what we do. Any interactions I've had with lawyers, they're not going to be like, there's room for interpretation here. There's room for something. No, they're just going to do their job to protect the company that is paying them because that's their obligation. They have to do that. And so that leads to situations like this where maybe there was not marching orders from Herman Hulst to get that shit off the internet. I don't think there was. I think it's probably just, hey, this is happening. How should we handle this? Well, the lawyers say do this, so let them go do this. Right?
Yeah, if anything, Herman Hulst was probably like, really? People actually want to play it? They're picking it up themselves. Also, I need to shout out a great joke in giantbomb.com/chats Twitch chat here. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Nothing named Concord has been able to take off since 2003. Well done, sir. That's good. but no, I find it. I wonder if maybe, and you mentioned because it's so new, if the tech used to develop the game is still current in Sony's proprietary process, and they don't want anyone to be able to dig into the files and find that and maybe glean something from the way they do their thing and be able to copy it, or you know what I'm saying, something like that. So they just want people to stay away from Concord for the time being. It is very weird that they would try to kill a resurrection, because that implies that people liked the game enough to attempt to resurrect it. But I get it. I get why they would do it for legal reasons, as you mentioned, safety or the technology. It makes sense. It just sucks that it had to happen to Sweet Concord had to go down twice.
Yep, it was just a boy.
It reminds me of the horse from Monty Python. Sweet Concord, your death will not be in vain. I'm not dead, sir. I'm fine. I can ridiculous.
Or Will Ferrell falling into the fire pit in Austin Powers and say, I'm not dead, I'm just very badly burned. It's a bang. You shot me. Concord back again. We'll have to shoot it again. All right, so Sony doing this, there's no other implication that like they're thinking about doing something with the Concord, right? Right. Okay. I think that's just the answer there.
Wasn't what was it that somebody put on sale or found at Goodwill? It was like the platinum disc or the Gone Gold. It was the Concord and the plaque.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it was a plaque. You're right. Yes.
Yeah. So I think Concord is well and truly dead, unfortunately.
Well, I have my physical copy behind me, or right over there in a pile, so I still got it.
Don't put it in there; they'll come for you.
Yeah, that's right. Oh shit, Herman, leave me alone. All right, we are going to take a break. We got plenty of more headlines to get into after this. If you want to skip out on these, we put out an ad-free version of the video show, an ad-free version of the audio show. You can get those by going to giantbomb.com/join. We'll be right back. Jan, you taught me to overcome my fear of sharp objects. I want to teach you how to overcome your fear of saving money.
No, I don't wanna. I will only ever pay the manufactured suggested retail price.
Stop. You don't have to live this way because now there's Deku Deals.
The double D?
That's right. Deku Deals is the best way to find deals on any major gaming platform or store.
I don't want no bunk out-of-date coupon code, Grubb.
It's nothing like that. Deku Deals has both the hottest and the freshest deals updated constantly. It's also just added Steam support with a super simple page to find bundles for Steam code.
Ooh, I just found the Mist and Riven Complete collection for $8 on Humble using Deku Deals right now.
I also use Deku Deals to build and add and share wish lists. You can even use it to keep track of your collection.
You know what? I think we should all build some lists and host them on DekuDeals.com/giantbomb.
And if listeners go to DekuDeals.com/giantbomb, they can vote to make us play a game on the November 21st episode of Unprofessional Fridays.
Learn more at DekuDeals.com/giantbomb.
Game S Mornings, we're back. Jason Fanelli, Jeff Grubb. Let's get back into it. It's every time we try to start the show, though, or start it back up, there's more breaking news.
Something happens.
Something happens. Let's do it. It's a busy Monday. Evan Blass, I guess, has leaked Game of the Year nominees on what looks like Twitter or Blue Sky. Can't tell anymore. Anyway, here they are. These are the nominees for the Game of the Year category at the Game Awards. Starting with Claire Obscure, Expedition 33, then Death Stranding 2, On the Beach, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Hades 2, Hollow Knight Silk Song, and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. There you go. Those are your 6 nominees. Jason was telling me, and I'm like, oh yeah, I would have put it on there probably over Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, a game I did play a little bit of. Blueprints, I think, is the big omission there. Oh, that and of course Roadcraft. Everyone's outraged about Roadcraft not making it.
Big mad.
Yes. So okay. This list looks about right to me, though. I mean, there were a lot of really good games this year. It was always going to be tough to just name 6. I think all of these are strong nominees, kind of across the board. I think right now my gut reaction for the game I think is Game of the Year out of these 6. It is Silk Song. It's Silk Song.
Okay.
Yeah. What I think is going to win, though, Jason, continues to be Expedition 33.
Yes.
And it deserves it. Like that me preferring Silk Song is not any indication of me thinking Expedition 33 doesn't deserve to win Game of the Year. I think it does. How about you?
I am with you on that. I think Claire Obscure is going to win just because of the type of game that it is and I hate to be so cynical, but it is easier to build a show around if that, you know what I mean? You have all the voice actors there. It will be part of oh shit. Sorry, I just had a realization. It'll be part of the Symphony Orchestra, the Game of the Year medley, which means Zebra Bonanza. It might be played on the stage, and that right there makes me very excited.
They could just do a medley of all the different Bonanza songs.
The Bonanza songs.
They got to do Zebra.
Fantastic. They got to do Zebra Bonanza. It's the best one, and I will fight someone. No, I don't know, man. Hades 2 for the people that vote on this thing, that might have a chance here. But no, I think if I'm a betting man, I think Expedition 33 is your winner. And honestly, people might have forgotten about it because it came out in February, but I do like seeing Kingdom Come here. It's nice to see a game that is not afraid to say, it's nice to see a game that's not afraid to say, you're the player, but we hate you, and we're going to grind your face into the fucking dirt until you learn how to play our game. And I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. The guy who makes it, that's a whole difference. But the game was fun. And then I want to see I don't know the name of the actor, but the guy who plays Henry puts in a very good performance. Yeah. That's where my strongest opinions are, by the way. I'm going to wait for the nominees to come out, but there is one person in particular who I think needs serious consideration for performance at any awards show, and that's Jenny Kidd as Pauline.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason is not... So. And the reason is not just because, no one's going to be able to convince anyone that her emotional performance is going to outrank those of Expedition 33 or Hades. But she spoke and sang Pauline, which means she was singing and rapping a made-up language and made it sound like it was completely natural. That girl deserves all the kudos in the world. That's hard to do. Yeah,
I do. I fear it won't get recognized, but I 100% agree with you that it deserves to be. It was, and she was great. Like she carried the performances of that game in a real strong way. So like now as I get ready for our Game of the Year over here, something I like to talk about, think about. We always bring it up on these shows. I think I need to spend more time with Death Stranding, and I think I will be going back to Kingdom Come Deliverance too. I think I started to go down a pathway of I might just become a cheeky little potion salesman or something like that. And I think you could do that in this game. And I might try to just go have my own fun with it instead of trying to rush through the story as I was doing. And we'll see if that's possible. And my understanding is it is. I bet I could have even more fun with that game.
My favorite part of that game is that if you don't go to the bathhouse fast enough, people will actually complain that you smell like shit. That's hysterical to me. I love it.
Well, that is our leaked Game of the Year nominations. The rest of the nominations will be coming out at the top of the hour. Maybe we'll talk about it on another show if there's anything worth bringing up. But I definitely want to talk about those with Jason. Let's see here. Let's get back to our rundown here. All right. U.S. Congressman calls for AI regulations after Call of Duty Black Ops 7 debate. This is from Blair Marnell at GameSpot. Earlier this month, Call of Duty Black Ops 7 players called out the apparent use of AI in the game, especially the quote-unquote Ghibli-style calling cards. Activision subsequently acknowledged that some AI was used in the creation of Black Ops 7, but it insisted that the creative process is still in the hands of humans. Regardless, a U.S. congressman has weighed in on the Black Ops 7 debate and called for extensive AI regulations. California Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna, who has previously accused Roblox of not doing enough to protect children who use it, reposted a message about the Ghibli-like calling cards and wrote, "We need regulations that prevent companies from using AI to eliminate jobs to extract greater profits. Artists at these companies need to have a say in how AI is deployed." In a subsequent post, Khanna shared some proposals from Nobel laureate Acemoglu. I'm not going to be able to say that right. Acemoglu is how I'm going to say it.
Acemoglu, let's say.
Acemoglu. Yeah, okay. I like that. Those ideas include tax reforms to encourage or to discourage excessive automation and allowing workers and unions to benefit from AI gains rather than being replaced by artificial intelligence. Khanna also stressed that he isn't calling for a complete ban on AI. So the idea here would be regulations that sort of make it challenging for companies or will punish companies if all they're going to do with AI is use it to cut out workers and cut out more people from the profits, something that they are otherwise incentivized to do. And the idea would be like, let's share the benefits, if there are any from AI, with everyone. And look, AI feels like the toothpaste out of the tube, certainly in a lot of ways. It also feels like a bubble waiting to burst in terms of the business side of things. But I've said before that I think it's gonna be a real dark period for AI here pretty soon, and then it'll slowly kind of come back and it'll be everywhere forever, and we're not going to be able to do much about it. But one thing I do think would be possible is some sort of regulation like this of building out tax incentives and disincentives to say, hey, if you want to do this, if you can let the people who actually are doing the work decide how it's used and share any in sort of the productivity gains that you get out of that, then I would be more open to the possibility, because otherwise, every time I see it, it's just a reminder of all of the ways that these companies try to wring us dry. And then when they can completely cut us out, they are more than happy to rush to do that. Does any of this feel like it's possible? Does any of this feel like it's on the table, or we're anywhere near that? Because pie in the sky stuff, I feel like it's probably not.
No, I wish. This whole story, like, when I first saw that screenshot of the AI Ghibli, I was furious. But let me unequivocally, right now, fuck AI and fuck you for using it. I understand if people may want to try it once or twice because they can't draw. I can't draw, but I'm not on Sora. I don't care. I just don't draw.
I feel nothing when I did use it the one time. I just felt nothing from using it. It was like,
what the fuck does this add to my life?
It didn't work very well, but yeah.
Well, sure. It had to be Ro Khanna too, right? Ro Khanna's not the greatest person, but at least somebody's saying it. I don't think there's any chance. I don't think there's any chance that AI goes away, but I am very much looking forward for that bubble to burst, and for like the overabundance of AI as it is now to go by the wayside. I feel like there probably is some good use for machine learning, right? Specifically, like in the medical field, being able to go through all those complex equations and find the right one faster, or something like that. But this theft shit, whether it's ChatGPT stealing text or Sora stealing images, has to fucking go. And I wish they would nut up and just put legislation out there that says you cannot use this for commercial for monetary gain or commercial. It'll never happen. It'll never happen.
Yeah, because they're terrified, because it's like, they don't do it, then China will take over AI and we'll be left behind in the 21st century. And so, oh boy, there's got to be some other way of doing this other than operating from the worst fears and the worst possible situation. You kind of can't lead the future because you're like, oh, if we don't do it, someone else will, and we're too afraid of what that means. That's not a recipe for making sure everyone's included on the bus. But that's not been the concern of these companies. It is to maximize profit in every situation. And the government and the politicians are too often right there being like, oh, that should be our greatest concern as well. And it's like, oh, no, the well-being of the people you represent should be it. And that doesn't even seem to come into the equation. Like the AI, it's everywhere. It's like all last week, there's 5 other kinds of stories about where it's popping up. And it's always like in weird ways where it's like Ubisoft just used it for like one AI loading image. They probably used it for more than that. But there was one AI loading image where they said it slipped through and it had like obvious AI artifacts of like squishy faces and bad hands. And they're like, that slipped through our review process. Our developers just use it for, let's see here, iterations, prototyping, and exploration. But every element players will experience in the final game reflects the team's craft, artistry, and creative vision. And that's on one side. And on the other side, Krafton, the PUBG company, is like, we are buying out everyone basically that wants to have a voluntary buyout. And if you've been here for a year or less, we'll give you 6 months of pay, of salary to get out of here. If you've been here for up to like 11 years, you might get as much as 3 years salary, because we are an AI first company. And it's like, okay, so Ubisoft like gotten a lot of heat for having one image, and Krafton's basically just kicking everyone out so they can do everything with AI. So we run the whole gamut here, and it just feels like, whoa, we are certainly jumping the gun and getting out over our skis with this stuff. And I think that's the part that makes it feel especially bad. Is this is a tech that, and it's in its best examples, like, oh, I guess that looks somewhat realistic, but it obviously is not, doesn't feel good, or like that Coca-Cola commercial where it's like, this does not match up to what you did previously in any way, other than it sort of has the same general look. Is that the bar that you're measuring these things by? And if it is, it's like, okay, the people in charge are going to sort of shoot themselves in the foot with this stuff, and that's where the bursting bubble is going to come from. And even that is not going to hurt those people as much as it's going to hurt everyone who got fired, and now these companies don't have money to hire anyone again. It's a nightmare. How are you feeling about it, Jason?
It's a piss filter simulator. That's all it is. It can make it can make the image look as realistic as they want, but it still has that weird ass sheen on it that anybody with a discerning eye can see. The problem is nobody has a fucking discerning eye. They just want to, they have a discerning wallet, and all they care about is how cheap it is. Krafton going to find out the hard way. I mean, granted, at least they're doing something. They could have just said, get the hell out, instead of buying out.
I mean, these are a lot of these employees are in South Korea, so who knows? Maybe they couldn't just say, get the hell out. There's probably protections, labor protections there. But yes, I get what you're saying.
But like this Ubisoft thing, it just slipped through. It just slipped right in. I'm thinking of the guy slipping on ice, where he's like slipping on ice for 45 seconds before he actually falls over. I'm imagining this guy going to Sora and like slipping around and typing in the prompt that he needs, and then slipping over as he saves it to wherever he needs to save to. Here's an idea. You probably in your prompt for this put in picture from this era that would look like a loading screen for a video game, right? Say that's the prompt. Take the word loading, put it on a screen or an image with big fucking neon colors so you don't miss it, and put that in there instead. It'll take just as much time, and you'll avoid looking like an asshole when you accidentally leave it in there. Fucking I hate AI. Pisses me off to no end when I see people like good friends of mine on their Instagram reels or their social media using AI. I'm just like, no, will you fucking stop? I hate it so much.
The discerning eye thing, right? It's like the vast majority of people don't know the problem, and so they don't even see the problem because they don't even know it. I think it's going to be a situation where maybe someone like looks at that Coca-Cola commercial and goes, I just don't like it as much. Maybe they just didn't have a good one this year, then they find out, and then maybe they find out it's AI, and they're like, oh, okay, well that's cool then, I guess. I just the conversations we're having are not the general conversations, but I do think that it is people are are wondering why things look like such shit right now, or why it does feel worse than it did before, and hopefully we can continue to point the finger rightfully at AI and say it's because they're not letting actual artists do the work for the vast majority of these things so they could save some money. And so you're going to continue to get worse stuff. Doesn't that make you angry? And I hope we can win that conversation.
Don't you remember when you were a kid and it would be just around this time and you'd see the Coca-Cola, you mentioned the Coca-Cola commercial with the bears.
Yeah, I love those.
I love those. You know what else is really cheap besides AI? Restore those. Yeah. If you don't want to make a new one, just HD restore the old classic ones. It's the same. You get the same damn message. It's Christmas. Here's Coke and some polar bears, but it doesn't look like a piece of shit. And for people with that discerning eye, it doesn't look. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they've been running the same M&M like holiday commercial for like 30 years now,
and I laugh every time.
And it's great. Yeah, exactly. But it's like, that goes the other side of it. It's not. Oh, you could just run those again. Those have stood the test of time for a reason. Because they were clever and they were done by people who understood how to speak to other human beings and could operate on multiple levels of here's something that looks nice. Here's something that has a meaning to it. Here's something that speaks to a desire that all humans feel. And even if the machine can sort of replicate some of those ideas, it's so clear very quickly that it can't actually create those feelings itself. So it can't really speak to them. And that's subtle, but it's part of like where the chain breaks down, and it sort of taints everything that it does. And it's like everything's not quite as good as if a human did it. But yeah, people say if it's good enough, the corporations. I don't even know if it's good enough though. It hasn't been good enough so far.
It's not good enough. Chad is now becoming a greatest hits of Christmas commercials. The Corona with the lit up pine tree, the Hershey Kisses where they're playing the bells. Let me tell you something. And someone said this in chat. But Bariki one, I think it is Bariki _1. If they AI the fucking Hess truck, I am done. Yeah. You understand me? You're going to AI the truck that you sell every year too. Mm-hmm. You're going to just generate that. AI needs to go. AI and Roblox, man. 1 and 1A
for number one on your list.
1 and 1A. I fucking hate them both. And once one incorporates the other, I'll have a singularity of rage. I'll just explode into nothing.
All right, well, let's keep going here. More players in the UK, US, and Japan still prefer single-player games to multiplayer games.
Good.
Survey finds. In the US, it's like, let's see, 65%. I'm going to make this chart bigger so I can actually read it. Let's go there. Yes, okay. In the US, 65% prefer single-player games. Japan is 63%, Thailand 62%, Germany 60%, UK 58%, Mexico 55%, Sweden 49%, and China 47%. So even in China, a country where I've talked about before, culturally the gaming landscape has always been very social, very online, very much you need other humans involved because it's competitive first, and like pay to win took off there because they just never saw the problem with the way other people did, other cultures did, and that also means you need other players to play against. Even there, 47%, not the majority, but close to half, prefer single player games. I think that every time that these companies get in a situation, Jason, where they look at the possibility of, hey, multiplayer games do sell better and they do make more money, but there is a finite amount of time for those kinds of games for people who prefer that style of game. If we want to have a chance of diversifying, it does not mean make another multiplayer game, because if we make a good one of those, it should ideally take up a vast majority of that kind of person's time, because it becomes their hobby. If we want to make multiple games, the only real solution to that is to play to this audience, right? Even if they don't spend as much in total.
Yeah. If the analysis is saying we prefer single player games, you have to cater to the people who prefer single player games. And I think the sales charts always show that too. Like Ghost of Yotei earlier this year had a great, 3 million, I think it is now.
Yeah, it did very well.
3-4 million. So like it does not surprise me. Also too, have you played online with free chat? It sucks. because people are screaming at you and calling and I am what is the all right, so there's a difference in response age 16 to 24 and those age 25 to 34. I would love to see that split. And there it is. 49% 16 to 24 prefer single player games, 56% for 25 to 34, 64% 55 to 64. Old folks don't want to get yelled at by a bunch of young scrubs. That's all. That's what I'm reading here.
And that's like, okay, you could read that both ways, though, where it's like, okay, so if you want to future-proof your company, you should be focused on multiplayer. But because of the way the world's working right now, younger people don't have as much disposable income. Right. So if you want to make a game that could sell right now, you should maybe make something that appeals more to the older audiences. I think, if you're Sony reading this and you're trying to like figure out your strategy going forward, it's obvious you're still making both. But I don't know if I'm in that boardroom at PlayStation, how anyone can accept the idea that the bulk of our investment should be in massive, a live service multiplayer games. It's like, no, our base, our foundation, our rock has been a certain style of game for forever, and if we maybe we're not abandoning that, we have not been abandoning that, but we've certainly been letting it sort of go or like run on its own steam and not being, we haven't been reinvesting in it. Certainly. I don't know how you could sort of let everyone out of the room under this idea of we should be making 12 live service games. Now, obviously that has had its problems and they're not doing that necessarily anymore. But it's like, how did that even happen in the first place? How do you guys sort of talk yourselves into that? Because maybe half of the investment, maybe you tried 6 big live service games and the rest of that money went to building more studios or trying more single player stuff, that would have gone better for you. And I predict it would have, because there's just this solid foundation of players who want that. And then the multiplayer game can be the occasional lotto ticket. And instead what they did is just went all in on buy as many lotto tickets as we possibly can. Right.
Yeah. And that, unfortunately, when lottery tickets are by their nature not guaranteed, so when they don't cash out, you're left with a fumbled bag. It sucks.
Yep.
I hope that they take this and they sort of balance their output here, because people still want their PlayStation single player narrative games are some of the best things you can play on their console. Last of Us, God of War, Uncharted when that was a thing, Horizon, those sorts of games. You want to cater to the. Unfortunately, honestly, I think at this point, if they were smart, the console makers were smart, they would just try. And I know Epic's been trying to skirt them every chance they get with like Fortnite, for example. But the service fees for the microtransactions on your consoles might be the best way to get live service funds at the moment, because the live service games that are here are so entrenched and they're not going anywhere that you're not, unless you have a game that is so good, like Arc Raiders, I think, is a good recent example of a game that has simply broken in because it's a lot of fun and people are enjoying what it does. But that's now another live service game that you have to compete against. So it's a rock and a hard place, and it's a problem that I do not envy them having. But I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's, and their live service business does work. They make money from it, and they make money by having third parties put live service games on their platform, and it's hard to ignore that money, and they shouldn't, because it has worked to a certain extent. It just did not. It's also had as many, crash and burns, and burned a pile of $400 million in one go in something like Concord. And they've had that in to various degrees multiple times now. And it's like, I think that the sure thing, the reliable first party single player game, it just seems like maybe that's the good ground to go to return to. And then you just try going live service, try going multiplayer a little less frequently and be a little bit more discerning there. And that does seem to be where they're going right now. It's just, I'm surprised they didn't try that from the outset.
Oh crap! Arc Raiders uses AI too, doesn't it? I should not have brought that one up.
Yeah, for the voices. Yeah,
God damn it!
It's going to be everywhere. XDefiant reportedly began life as a new Splinter Cell game by the Dispatch developers. This is from Rebecca Valentine, who got this from, I think there was some report over at Bloomberg. Ubisoft was at one point not too long ago working on a brand new Splinter Cell game, but it morphed over time to become XDefiant, according to a new report. This comes from a Bloomberg story about Ad Hoc Studio. The developers of workplace superhero comedy game Dispatch, which describes their journey from Telltale Games to a superhero comedy game Dispatch, to Ubisoft to tell their to own their own independent studio. The leadership of Ad Hoc began working together at Telltale Games, working on Tales from the Borderlands before Nick Herma, Dennis Lennart, and Pierre Choret departed for Ubisoft in 2017. There, the trio worked on a new entry in the Splinter Cell franchise. I was so excited to be a part of this and help revitalize it because it's been dormant for a while, Herman told Bloomberg, and we thought we could tell a great story and do something the fans would love. However, they explained that Ubisoft was beginning to push games as a service hard across its portfolio. Surprise, and Splinter Cell didn't quite fit that mold. Over time, the Splinter Cell project transformed into what would become XDefiant, a free-to-play first-person shooter that launched to middling reviews last year and shut down just this past June, taking 2 entire studios with it. The trio eventually reunited with Michael Shaung, another former colleague from Telltale, to start Ad Hoc Studio in 2018. While working on a version of what would eventually become Dispatch, they also took on a script writing co-dev gig on The Wolf Among Us 2, only to pull out of the project after writing an 800-page script due to frustrations with a lack of creative control. That project, last we heard of it, seemed similarly ill-fated. Oh no. Eventually, though, the group was able to pull together the final version of Dispatch with the support of both a publisher and a number of well-known actors, thanks to casting director Linda Lamontagne. A last-minute deal with Critical Role for another game helped get it across the finish line. It's just like, that sounds like modern game development for a studio of this size, like this sort of like low to middle size studio where you have to try a million different things to make ends meet. You probably bring in people from a lot of other publishers, and you sign a bunch of deals. And if you get a game made, the story behind it will sound like it's a miracle that anything ever came out. And that's certainly the story of Dispatch, right?
Every time I hear a story like this, that's exactly the first thing I think. It is interesting that they went from Splinter Cell to ragtag bunch of heroes in Dispatch. That is a weird trajectory, but with the Telltale background and bringing those teams in, I guess it kind of makes sense. I think the story here is that they thought Ubisoft thought Splinter Cell, one of their biggest franchises, wasn't fitting their current, like, what's going on, man?
To me, that sounds so familiar to like every conversation happening inside these companies right now, where they probably are across the board, like maybe everyone except for Nintendo, but even Nintendo, they're probably having conversations about Star Fox. Does Star Fox make sense? But I bet it's a little bit different in Nintendo than at like a Microsoft, a Sony, Activision, which I guess is Microsoft, and Ubisoft, all these companies where they're like, okay, people keep clamoring for X for something like Splinter Cell. Let's do all of the math. Let's do all of the market research. Let's try to figure out, can this game sell 10 million copies and make at least a 15% profit margin? And I think they all kind of come to the answer of maybe, but probably not. And so we don't get any of this shit, or they're just too scared to make the bet. None of these games are getting made right now because someone inside these companies has a strong vision for making the game. It is maybe pitched, and then it's got to pass through miles and miles of bureaucracy and approvals from people whose first concern is not a good video game, but a game that is a good fit for a market that they can see explained to them on a spreadsheet on paper. And of course, like Splinter Cell is going to have a challenge doing that because the last couple of Splinter Cells did, whatever they did, and games like that right now are not. They're few and far between, and the games that do make all the money in the world look very different. So, like, how do you explain? Well, this game could pop off because there's people out there that want to play that. They're like, well, then show me that on paper by give me another example, and there aren't any. So it's a self-perpetuating cycle where games like this aren't getting made, so there's no examples of them doing well, so these companies don't want to make them. So it feels like it's going to get worse and worse with these companies getting more and more afraid to make stuff like this.
Yeah, and even too, it seems like Ubisoft can't make a game in any of its trademark franchises without it being super bloated with towers and big maps and symbol overload and all this other stuff. So they really need to figure out what the hell's going on in there, man. It's a problem.
Last story here. I think the Zelda movie looks pretty cool. There Yeah, there was some leaked footage of behind the scenes filming with Zelda kind of walking around the set with horses, with like accoutrement that looks like, if it's from Hyrule Kingdom. And we have some official set photos that I think popped off on the Nintendo Today app. Here's from Jim Norman. Nintendo has revealed a new batch of photos of the upcoming live-action Zelda movie, giving us our closest look yet at its central duo. The pictures were shared on the Nintendo Today app and reveal Bo Bragason's Princess Zelda and Benjamin Evan Ainsworth's Link in full costume on location in New Zealand. Zelda, let's see here. Now, it's true there are only 3 photos to take in for now, but it looks like Zelda. And Jan, if this is something you could show off people, like you could show the photos and maybe even that Instagram behind the scenes footage. I saw the behind the scenes footage first, Jason, and just seeing that was like, oh man, suddenly I have confidence in this. Something about it just looks right. But of course, that's just one little tidbit, and that's who knows why I feel that way. But I don't know. You said you feel the same. Why?
Yeah, because they're going with the Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom presentation.
It does look pretty similar to that, yes.
Which is, if you're comparatively speaking, this is going to be a weird thing to say for the Legend of Zelda, but hear me out on this. The most grounded look-wise of the franchise. You're not a boy in a hat and tunic running around with a sword. It's going to look, people can think that's really weird. This looks like it could, for people who do not know, they think these two people could be in a Lord of the Rings style thing or a Game of Thrones thing. It blends in better to that aesthetic for the people who don't know what Zelda is, right? I do feel weird saying that they look like they could be in Lord of the Rings. I get it. Chat, leave me alone. I'm just saying it from a visual perspective. People seeing these and not knowing what's going on are like, oh, all right, we got medieval fantasy going on, maybe some magic. We'll see what's happening. Also, from the leaked footage, the casting, and I'm going to butcher this name, of Dyken Lockman. I think that's how I say it. Dyken Lockman as Impa, apparently. Yeah.
Yes.
Who, for those who don't know, she is Miss Casey in Severance.
Yes,
is brilliant. She is
she looks incredible as Impa. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, and she's a fantastic actress, so I think she's gonna nail it. I'm very excited for my wellness session with Impa when that movie comes out in May of 27. Deechin, did I say that? Did I say that wrong? All right, yeah, I knew I was going to butcher it, so thank you for correcting me if I did. No, this is exactly what I was hoping for from a Zelda movie. This is exactly the kind of thing I want to see. It is going to be profoundly weird to hear Link speak, but in the movies, he kind of has to, and I can get over that.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. At the very least, now seeing it like this, it's like, oh, this movie is going to come out. I guess I should have known because Nintendo's been serious about this. Sony Pictures, like they said they were filming, they got a director and all that stuff, but just burned so many times on video game movies. I will see this, and I'm hoping it will live up to all the possibilities. I won't even say expectations, but just the possibilities of being good. All right. That does it. No poll question from Friday. We did the Bomb 12, the big list of the Bomb 12. You guys can check that out. I'll have a blog post today that goes over that. We'll have a new link for new submissions to the Bomb 12. We'll do that at the end of the week, as always. In the meantime, though, why don't we do this? Jason, why don't you tell people where they could find you on the internet, what you have going on, and all that good stuff?
JasonFanelli.com on Blue Sky, Big Man Fanelli everywhere else, writing news and features and stuff for GameSpot as usual. I do have one more review for them before the end of the year, so keep an eye out for that. Also write for MMORPG and a couple other freelance places hither and thither around the internet. I have my own YouTube channel, which I get on once in a blue moon. Maybe I'll react to the nominees of the Game Awards, which I have going on the screen above me here. I can officially say justice for Jenny Kidd. She was not nominated for best performance because it's mostly Expedition 33 people. I did notice there's no Dispatch there either.
Dispatch came out probably too late for
it's an independent game, so no, it didn't.
I mean, I just mean
for performance reasons.
Yeah, just like a game like that could still get nominated that late, but for the conversation around how good the performance is, that was like, it's a slow burn, and people were just playing the last episodes and really got hit by it recently. It was too late for it to get all that love.
I will say, though, for the degenerates in chat, best mobile game nominee, Uma Musume, Pretty Derby. Y'all can run with that. I've never played it. I just know that you guys like to talk about it. But no, the presentation just ended. I'll go through all those nominees. Maybe we'll talk about it tonight on my personal YouTube channel. But yes, that's where you can find me. Yeah, that's it.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much. Let's see here. We do have a new poll question. Do you think the Zelda movie stills look good? Yes or no? We'll talk about that on Game S Mornings here on Giant Bomb on Wednesday. Speaking of Giant Bomb, today we got to figure some stuff out. I think we might be doing Monday Mornings Missed with Mitch, but also it's we intend to start up Missed 3 here pretty soon, and we'll see if Mike wants to start that now or next week. Also, I might have to take a kiddo to the doctor, so we'll see if I'm even going to be there. But yeah, no, it's all good, just normal stuff. But we should have Mega Man tonight. I think Mike is going to do Monday evening gaming at Mike's at night tonight. We'll see what he ends up playing, and then we'll have our normal week. We'll have the Bombcast. We'll have Blight Club. We'll be back where Mike will be playing his Blight in the Bank Punishment. He's going to continue Leisure Suit Larry. God, box office bust.
Box office bust. That reveal might be one of my favorite twists in YouTube history. That whole Dan is a master. That was incredible.
It was he's a showman for sure. Yep, I was very happy with how all that went. I will still have to go back to my Blight, which I can't even remember. Oh yeah, that's right. It's that's the
Sonic
Game Gear Sonic game. Yeah, Sonic Blast. Gross. All right. Well, that all happened and more this week. We'll let you guys all know. We'll get some stuff posted to socials, including our calendar. But in the meantime, Jason, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me. Sorry I couldn't come Friday, but I'm glad we got it in.
No worries. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, we'll make it happen again real soon. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.